I'm Lineke Lijn, and in this very broad tutorial we are going to talk about how to draw the sea, the sky, a boat, and of course the Kraken that's coming out of the ocean and wants to pull down the ship. Maybe you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, super movie, and in this film we're going to pay close attention to this wonderful monster, the Kraken. So let's do it. When we start out this drawing, what you have to keep in close mind is the difference between the sky and the water. There's definitely some difference in this, and these are some pro studies I did, and you can see that I was struggling with the arms of the octopus, of the Kraken, as you like, and I want them to be real graspy to pulling down this ship. Here I've tried some other approach. For instance, when the tentacles have those nappy ends, so they do not have to be all pointy. Here I've paid more attention to the water. There are harsh lines in the front and highlights that are on top of the waves, so we will also be paying close attention to how the water is drawn. What we will be using is a powder of the graphite, and I will show you here how it's done. I simply take a bar of graphite and a sharp knife. Then I go over the graphite bar, and so I can make my own powder. The powders are also to buy in a store if you want, but this is a very simple and very cheap way to make your own powder. What we will be using for this drawing we are going to do is soft pencils. For this one I've used an HB and a 3D pencil, and what I'm also using is a eraser in the form of a pencil. Also my filling pencil for the very sharp edges. Also a simple eraser. So these two erasers are very handy and I use it a lot. This is an like a remover pad for your makeup, and you can also use this for the rubbing in of the powder, and I use it especially by the sky parts. And we will also be using a ruler for the very straight lines. So this is all we will be needing. It seems like quite a lot, but actually it's graphite and, well, erasers actually, and of course the pad. When I started out this drawing, I simply dip in my finger and I use a piece of paper to mark the edges of the drawing we are going to do. My camera needs to focus now because there's not much on the paper now, so it will be focusing only in the beginning. So what I do is I simply rub in a little bit of graphite powder with my finger for the waves, and I will be using the pad for the sky part. I do not make it all even, but I already put in some kind of darker and lighter spaces for the sky. The front of the waves are extra dark, so I put in extra graphite powder for the very front waves to make them look extra dark, and so they appear to be coming towards you. For the ship itself, I also use just my finger. So I'm not using the pencil yet, because I want the setup of this drawing to be really rough. So I can move it around as the drawing continues. This is as rough as my first sketch is, and I'm getting all dirty, but I don't mind. For the sky, I used the iPad again, and the sky parts do not have to have those harsh lines as there is in the waves. So I only use the cotton for the sky. Then I rub it all together. Well, this is my real start. What I do now is I take the pencil eraser and I simply start putting in, for instance, the sail of the ship. By erasing lines, it's kind of like drawing with a white pencil, for instance, but it's not. I'm simply erasing the spots I've made with my finger and with the cotton pad. Here I need a sharp line for the white of the point of the bow of the ship. So you can use a straight line for this, so that it's really not having any kind of little bows in it. It has to be straight, so that's why I used the ruler for that. The highlights on the bow of the ship have to be rounded, so I simply draw those in. For the waves, I do much the same. So what I want to do with the pencil eraser is simply draw out the top of the waves that are really foamy and whitish. You can use this pencil eraser for this splendidly. When you need a little bit more of darkness underneath the white waves, the head of the waves, you can easily draw in extra graphite powder again. In the sky, there are clouds, of course, and it's also easy with this pencil eraser to get the tip of those clouds, the highest parts of the clouds, in extra white. Now it's time for my pencil for the first time. For instance, if I want a little line just next to the cloud, or a little line just for the wood of the sail sticks, I start using the simple pencil. What I'm actually doing here is I follow the whites that I've erased, and now I can put in darker lines and place them just next to the whites of the parts that I've erased. I think it's very nice to start off with the very roughness of the sketch we did with the finger and with the cotton, and then work my way out as the drawing comes along. So I'm simply using all of the roughness of our first setup to make it further and further detailed. I also need to place now the arms of our Kraken. I simply take my filling pencil, which has a really pointy head. So now I can draw in the arms of the Kraken very softly. I need to decide what way the arms will be going. And of course, for the dramatic of this drawing, I want all the arms to go towards the ship. I want the ship to appear like it's trying to get away from the Kraken, and the Kraken is really trying to get this ship and pull it underneath the surface of the water. So, oh, whoa, that was my cat, sorry for that. What was that? So the tentacles are all going towards the ship as the ship is trying to get away from the Kraken. As you can see here, I've set in those tentacles, and now I simply remove the graphite that was already in the drawing. So I simply erase these out. Those tentacles, of course, have a skin, and in this case I'm keeping the skin really kind of rough, and I put in those little dots that are on the tentacles. They're actually little circles that I draw in. Then I simply erase those circles, and between the circles I put in a dark shadow. So now it's all a matter of taking out and erasing the inside of the little dots on the arms, and then I put in one dark spot. This right tentacle, on the right side that is, I want this one to get the most attention. So I've placed a really harsh dark line underneath the tip of the tentacle, and then this one also gets those dots which I erase out and then place in a little dark point. And then again it's a simple matter of putting in the shade between them. Here I'm pulling out some lines for, well, what kind of looks like dripping water, to give it extra dramatic. The tricky part is that the tentacle arms need to get, they have to come out of the water. So I'm actually drawing the arm also underneath the waves. They have to really pop out of the water. So I want to bind the water and the arm of the Kraken together. There are a lot of tones going on now. There are darker tones, middle tones and light tones. So now it's time for me to get some feel of what needs to be really white, what needs to be dark. And I also place in the strings that are attached from the pole of the mast and the thread that keep them together. Here we dive into the water again. For the left arm, I want the waves to pop up and make some foam, if you like. And then next to the foam, I darken everything in. Also this arm, this tentacle, needs to come out of the water, but I also draw the arm underneath the water. I think that's very important, because otherwise it looks like the arm is on top of the water, but it really has to come and pop out of underneath the water. Here we come to the front waves. This is the part that is closest to the viewer, and I want really harsh line on top of the waves. zigzag these white lines with the eraser, and that makes them extra sharp, very detailed. Once you have these white lines, it's easy to place in some dark shades to make the waves look extra sharp. As the drawing continues, I keep getting in more and more details. For the really sharp lines, I use the filling pencil. For the darker shades, I used the 8B pencil. Here also you can see me drawing in the arm underneath the waves. So the arm really seems to pop out of the water. Time for the boat again, and I want some more white in the sails of the ship. You can see how easy it is to remove the graphite from your drawing. Also some white tips on the lines and the bow of the ship. I want the sail to be a little bit rugged and torn by the waves, so I also place in this little detail to make it more dramatic. I think the right arm is a little bit dull, a little bit boring, so also on this right arm I place in the little round dots. Can use some more dots. So to get this arm more detailed, I place in extra lines. You can see here I have to draw between the waves. you want the sail to be a little bit broader, bigger, you can easily do this with the eraser. Underneath the sail, I now need some more shadow to make the sail pop out better. Front of the ship, get some more detail now also. We will zoom in here a little bit, and I thought it was fun to have a little flag at the top of the mast. And this is easily done again by placing simple lines and then take out the gray again with the eraser. Now you simply place a harsh line on the lower part of your flag and make it a little bit rugged by the storm. Now that I'm so far as that the drawing is all in place, I want to get more attention going towards the boat. So what I need now is for the back of the sky to be extra dark. And I'm very careful to draw around the boat and the sail. And by making the top of the sky extra dark, there's again a line movement going towards the ship. Also place in a little bit of darkness on the bottom of the cloud in the left. That is just going past the arm that is farthest away from us. By placing in this extra dark sky, there is another line going towards the center of the drawing. It's just something I need for the composition and to give it an extra dynamic feel. Now I can simply erase the tip of the clouds and make this extra white. Also the side of the sail itself. Now the sky really gets some more dimension by making one part of the sky extra dark. Make sure to place a paper underneath your hand when you're diving into the drawing. So you do not erase and smear out the drawing you've already done. Here I'm bringing out the second arm of the Kraken, and I also need to pay somewhat more close attention to the waves. It's a very rough sea, so the lines are all crisscross. Here I'm drawing in extra lines to make the right arm stand out better and to make the difference between the tip of the pole of the boat where it stops, and there's a little space between the tip of the boat and the arm of the Kraken itself. The left side of the ship I put in extra dark waves because the ship is kind of tilting to the left, to itself's right, and the waves that are pulled up are extra dark with white tips on it, white foam if you like. You can see now that we have a space in which we were drawing, and now I think it's kind of fun to make a few waves go out of the area of drawing, just to make it a little bit more interesting to look at and to make the waves look extra splashy. I also do that for the tip of the pole of the sail, just drawing it outside of the area of our actual drawing. You can also do that on the left side of the drawing. I put in some dark popping up waves, and I also place them outside of our area of drawing. Well, so far the drawing of the Kraken. I hope you have success with it, and if you do, please let me know, and I hope to see you in the next movie. Take care.